people forget about the third grim, gummo. Gummo grim. Harpos, Chico, Zippo, gummo. Here's a fifth one. Oh, I left Harpo out. Oh, how could I forget Harpo? Harpo grim. What the hell was I? And it's a serious stuff. You see that it is more serious. In fairy tales, Grimm's fairy tales, there's an archetypal figure. His name is Dumpling. Dumpling. He finds a room full of toads, and he talks to the queen of the toads. And the queen of the toads in the fairy tale represents the inner voice. Dumpling looks like an idiot because he listens to the inner voice. And everyone thinks he's dumb, but he becomes the hero because of the inner voice. It's the same thing as saying, trust your instincts. Trust your instincts, trust the inner voice. Listen to the queen of the toads. Don't worry, just listen to the queen of the toads. It's not always a toad. Sometimes it's like a little songbird, or seven dwarves, or a cat wearing boots. Disney ruined it, really, he did. The point is, trust your instincts, trust Puss in Boots. This is going to be a cat food commercial. Sometimes the inner voice appears as a Jungian anima figure. And sometimes they show up like tarot card images, which are all very archetypal. And that's what I saw when I kind of was going crazy. But nobody really noticed. That's a secret. And I wrote a bunch of modern fairy tales. I think of these as fairy tales. And the main character in my fairy tales is a man named Aulden Shlief. My book. It's waiting for a literary agent. That's not supposed to be funny.
Oh, sorry.
This is the third prose piece. Aulden falls down. Once upon a time, a man named Aulden Shlief. Once upon a time, there was a man named Aulden Shlief who fell down. He fell so hard that he landed inside his own head. After he landed, he couldn't find his way out. There he was, a 44-year-old man stuck in his own head. I made him 10 years younger. That's it. Aulden knew that falling down can be a metaphor, all about things like when his marriage ended and he left his home and he ended up in a cheap studio apartment. He fell down and he said, ouch. So that's what a metaphor feels like. Aulden sat on the edge of his Murphy bed and touched the screen of his iPhone, the number of his house, his former house, and still the number of his ex-wife activated, and Aulden tapped frantically on the button to cancel the call. End. Sitting on that bed, alone, in his socks and boxers and t-shirt, Aulden carefully placed the phone on his cardboard box nightstand, and he fell inward. He was emptied out. And when he looked inside himself, he couldn't find a belief or a landmark or a pathway. He saw light, but it was only a light that illuminated his emptiness. This kind of emptiness compels a person to search, and some people call that search the archetypal journey. Aulden began that journey, and you can too. You can too if your life is so messed up you sleep in a studio apartment on a Murphy bed. He leaned his head into his hands and took a deep breath. Even though his life was falling apart, there was one helpful thing he learned years before in a class at the community college. He learned how to breathe in and out. It was Meditation 101, where a man who knew all about Zen Buddhism would say, let the air fill your belly and release. Aulden thought about taking Meditation 102, but he felt like he could only breathe so much. And not to be cynical, but there's a thing in Zen where those who know don't know, and those who know they don't know. And Aulden felt like this instructor was a guy who knew, you know. Aulden was lost in his head, and he wandered aimlessly, surrounded by light, and every step took him nowhere, and he gave this place a name. He called it the non-place. He said, I'm in my apartment, but I'm here at the same time. So what is this place? This non-place? I only had this heavy freaking thing for so long. I'm sorry, that's the end of the show. I can't hold it anymore.
You need a book holder.
Really? Come on back here. No, I can't. I'll get through this one way or another. Aulden was lost in his head, and he said, this is a non-place. But when he stopped walking, he noticed someone standing nearby. This person, a man in a dark suit, looked familiar, as if Aulden had met him before. He studied the man. Dark suit, dark hair, calm demeanor. He didn't recognize him, but he felt a strange kinship between the two of them. So Aulden said, well, come over here. I don't like it when you wander off. The man said, I'm not the one who wanders off. Aulden said, who are you? The man said, you know who I am. No, I don't. I'm your guide, the wind. His name was the wind. What kind of name is that? Aulden said, I've never had a guide before. Actually, I've been with you your whole life. Well, Aulden said, I never noticed. I know, you'd think a man would notice what goes on inside his own head. Then Aulden was able to see that they were on a sidewalk, and a couple blocks down the street was a bar, so he said, why don't we go there? And off they went. That's how Aulden Shlief met his guide, the wind, when he fell down and landed inside his own head. And as a point of interest, Aulden is an English name. It means old friend, and Shlief is German. It means slept. Old friend slept. That's number 3. Keep that one.